Hey everybody, Sean here from Somm Wine Club, and I have got some wine for you. This is the 2021 Clos Fornelli Corse Blanc. This is a white wine from the island of Corsica and made from the grape variety Vermentinu. So I'm going to cover a lot of things here, and I'm going to try not to get sidetracked. I want to talk about Corsica first. There's a good chance that many of you have not ever had a wine from Corsica. If you have had a wine from Corsica, it was more than likely coming from the western part of the island near Ajaccio. This is kind of the more well-known and developed wine part of the island. But this is coming from the eastern side of the island, near the town of Aleria in the Bravone Valley, which is a ancient part of the island. That's where the Greeks first set up their port in the town of Aleria. But Corsica is part of France. Corsica was part of Italy, or a part of the kingdom of Genoa at one point. Before that, in thousands of years of history, it's been occupied by dozens of different empires, from Byzantines to Saracens to Romans, Etruscans, Greeks, Phoenicians. So it's quite understandable that there's a lot of mishmash of culture and history here. It's an extremely important maritime port and historical port in the Mediterranean. It's only 90 kilometers or so from the Tuscan coast and 200 kilometers south of France. So it is a sunny Mediterranean island, but being on the eastern side of the island, what actually happens here in this particular area is that the mountains that kind of run through the center of Corsica block the sunlight in the afternoon. So you get all of this beautiful morning sun, and then as the sun moves to the west, it gets cut off by the mountains, and so these south-facing vineyards on the hillside terraces in the Bravone Valley lose that sunlight. And this is where I'm going to try not to get sidetracked. In doing my reading and doing a little bit of background on all these wineries, I love discovering things that I am already interested in other aspects of my studies. So Clos Fornelli does a couple of things through their viticulture program that I've been asking wineries about for a number of years since I was first introduced to it. And one of those is a technique called palissage, which is basically taking the shoots of the vines and folding them over and tucking them into the top wire of the training system. So the idea here is that encourages the vine to stop its vegetative growth cycle, to stop putting out new shoots and new leaves and start moving into fruit production. You're simulating the natural movement of the canopy and of vines as they grow up trees or poles or whatever it is that they're attached to, and you tuck it over to kind of let them know that, oh, it's time to start making fruit. So in a region where they lose the sunlight because of the mountains, they have that influence from the Tyrrhenian Sea in between Corsica and Tuscany. This is a cool Mediterranean influenced and would normally be very sunny. So they have to do a little bit more work to make sure that the vines are pushing fruit in the right time of the season and that they can get ripeness out of the vineyards. They do a little green harvest before the actual harvest so that they can make sure that there's only one cluster per vine. That encourages the vine to put all of its energy into making those berries and that fruit cluster the best that they can. And the result is a spectacularly complex, flavorful, and well-developed bunch of grapes that then they turn into spectacular wine. Okay, now I can go back from my tangent here. So owned by Josie Venucci and Fabrice Colomer, French and Italian kind of influence in some of their winemaking. Vermentino is a grape variety that's planted all over kind of this part of the Mediterranean, from Liguria in northern Italy down the Tuscan coast and in the south of France as well under the name Rolle. So you have a lot of similarities to the style of wine that's produced from this grape variety. But it is widely planted on Corsica and of course goes by the name Vermentinu with a U instead of an O. So this is all done by hand, picked by hand from these vineyards that are farmed organically, biodynamically, and then done in old oak casks and concrete eggs. So they really don't want to interfere with the quality of the fruit. They want to just let the aromatics of Vermentino and of the region kind of shine through and do a little bit of lees contact just to kind of add a little bit more texture and weight to the wine generally. And it shows. There's a little, definitely some nutty lees contact, especially just on the initial pop in the nose. Being that this is a fairly warm and sunny region, the quality of the fruit is generally quite ripe and juicy, especially with those viticulture techniques that I've said that they employ in the vineyards. So you're getting a lot of like ripe apple, peach, kind of just ripe stone fruit character. There's like this like pear, juicy Anjou pear, that yellow pear, ripe, juicy fruit character. The lees comes through with this like nutty, almost like almond skin character, which I love in like lees contact white wines. You get all of this like peanut shell and almond skin. Little like crushed stone. It's not chalk. It's not like it almost doesn't even have like a saltiness to it. It's more just like crushed stones. It's like someone has ground up like granite or schist or like really hardy rocks. Okay, so the acid on this wine definitely tells you that you are in a cooler kind of moderate climate. This is not like warm climate acidity. It's tangy, it's tart, it's almost astringent in the acidity and the way that it presents, but not in an unpleasant way, but in a slightly surprising way. If you've already watched the video for the Quinta de Merta, it's kind of the opposite. That wine smells like it's going to be really lean and then it's a little bit softer. This wine smells like it's going to be really ripe and juicy, but it's a little bit more tangy. So there's a fun kind of back and forth between these two wines in the box this month. Way less ripeness, way more citrus. It's ripe citrus, ripe lemon, lemon zest, and then a lot of stony mineral character on the palate of this wine. It almost has like a rock stone character, like I'm guessing not a lot of people like rocks, but if you do, like this actually does kind of taste like minerals, like really pronounced mineral water. That's awesome. You're gonna really like this. This is I want to like have food like right now. I'm filming this in the morning, so I'm not exactly going to be cooking dinner right after I finish this, but I want to. My mouth is just watering and I can't stop thinking about food. So like all kinds of fresh seafood here. Classic pairings for Vermentino, especially in Liguria, which is on that northern coast of Italy. Classic pairing for Vermentino is pesto. So doing pesto, you get fresh basil and Parmesan and pine nuts, and you get that nuttiness and that saltiness and that fattiness and that tang and herbaceousness of fresh basil. That still applies here, being that this is a little bit further south, Corsica, and also has this under kind of stony mineral character. I definitely want to highlight that here. So maybe not doing just like straight pesto pasta. I would like use that pesto in something else. So do it as a dressing for seafood. Do it with prawns or mussels or fresh fish so that you can like incorporate that flavor, but while also highlighting the saltiness and the mineral character and the ocean influence in this area. felt like I just bit into an apple. Like I got this pop of like tangy green apple on the finish and the mid palate of this wine. There's a lot going on here, and it's continuing to evolve in the glass. So, what I would advise you to do, if you are opening the wine, open, taste it, kind of see how it shows when you first open it, and then put it in a decanter and let it breathe and let it open up and watch kind of as the wine changes over time. Don't let it get too warm because otherwise you're going to lose that freshness. But if you can keep it at a steady 10, 12 degrees Celsius, like just resting on an ice bucket, that'll help keep the wine fresh while allowing the oxygen and the air in the decanter to change the wine's character over time, over the course of your appetizer or your meal. Can it be lunchtime now? I'm so thrilled with this and these wines, this producer. I'm going to have to do a little bit more reading about their viticulture practices and dive into some of the background on that and talk to them a little bit, because that's something that excites me, and I'm encouraged to see more producers doing these kinds of things. So I hope you enjoy the Clos Fornelli. I hope you find that interesting, and ask me questions. Send me a message if you want to learn more about what I get nerdy about in my spare time. So thank you. I appreciate everyone. Enjoy. Have a great day.